And here we can see a lot of longs newly got liquidated. That can give you some kind of input that we are building up a pivot point to aim for even higher levels. But as it looks like now, it looks bearish in the daily exchange volume. The charts are looking bearish, and we need to respect that. That means that the dollar will become weaker. So keep that in mind. And I think the dollar will become weaker. So hi everyone, warmly welcome to this week's market outlook, where we're going to have a look at Bitcoin, Nasdaq, Eurusd. Let's start with the calendar for the week. And we have on Wednesday, 3rd of December, non-farm employment change. It's a new month. And the first week of the month is usually very volatile, so keep that in mind. Then we have price index on Friday. This is Swedish times for your information, but my focus this week is basically the non-farm employment change on Wednesday and the price index on Friday. Mainly this one on Wednesday. And if we check the earnings calendar, we can see here Monday, nothing special. Let's see, Tuesday, nothing here too. Thursday, Friday. So nothing special in my opinion in terms of reports, and the fear and greed index is still in extreme fear when it comes to the S&P 500. We will soon have a look at Nasdaq, and S&P are moving more or less the same. And if we check fear and greed index for crypto, we are in extreme fear still, and I'm looking for some kind of correction up to neutral before aiming for even lower levels in Bitcoin. But I'm going to explain my thoughts in details when we jump into the charts. But let's just see the liquidation index. We can take this in the 4-hour, and you can see a lot of longs are getting liquidated. And here we can see a lot of longs newly got liquidated. That can give you some kind of input that we are building up a pivot point to aim for even higher levels. Something interesting also is to check the long-short ratio. We can see here 47.6% are long and 52.3% are short. And when we are going down in the markets and we see this percentage is higher to the short side, that could also give us an indication when it is maybe 2, 3, 4% differential here. That can give us an indication of a short-term bounce up to higher levels. I'll show you how I'm thinking in the charts soon. Just checking the daily exchange volume, you can see that we actually broke below here, we broke below here, which is increasing the probabilities that we are actually in a bear market, and we can't sit here and expect higher levels in the daily exchange volume since we are not creating higher lows and higher highs. If we start to do that, then fine, of course, we can just adapt and start aiming for higher levels. But as it looks like now, it looks bearish in the daily exchange volume. The charts are looking bearish, and we need to respect that. Let's just jump into the charts now. Let me explain for you my thoughts. So if we start with Bitcoin, as I told you earlier, I'm aiming for this liquidity level here, this low basically. And as long as we are not breaking up, creating higher highs, higher lows, and seeing huge amount of buying volume coming into the picture, I'm bearish. I'm aiming for lower levels. And I think the most probable scenario is actually to get some kind of relief rally and create a lower high and then aiming for lower levels. And as of now, you can see we have been getting a lot of buying volume here in relation to the selling volume we saw in these last red candles, but we haven't got that buying volume that outperforms the selling volume we got here. So this increases the probabilities that this is still looking like a relief rally and not a start of a move up to all-time highs and stuff like that. So it's really important that we see that the volume that is coming in now after this candle, let's say if this is just a manipulation down and we are aiming for higher levels and continuing the relief rally up, it's really important that the candle that is coming after it or in the same candle, it doesn't matter. It's really important that we see that the buyers are in control. And how do we see that? We see increased buying volume after these red selling volume staples here. So it's really important that the candles here after it, they need to be green and at least the same amount we saw here to increase the probabilities to continue this relief rally upwards. If we, for example, go up in the weekly chart and close fair value gaps like this and create a correction and then a break up again, of course, we can start aiming for higher levels. But as of now, it looks bearish, and even the buying volume in the weekly chart doesn't outperform these candles here to the left. And if we check Nasdaq here, we have the weekly chart, and let's just jump in to the daily chart. We can see here we took liquidity, broke above higher levels, and I told you we can be bearish as long as we are below this red zone, and now we have been breaking above it. That's nice, so we can take away this. And if we check the 4-hour chart, this is a demand zone, and we can see we are touching it. And the most probable scenario right now, since we are still respecting these clear big demand zones here, I think we can aim for higher levels in Nasdaq. And let's just respect the trends since we broke above this red big supply zone. So I am bullish in Nasdaq, aiming for higher levels. And if we start to build supply zones like this, respect them and break below, and then respect the second supply zone and break below. If we start to build something like this, then I'm open to be adaptive and start aiming for lower levels. But for now, let's be bullish. Let's aim for higher levels since we are respecting this bullish order flow we are having here. When it comes to EURUSD, I'm in the 2-day chart. We can see that we are in the optimal trade entry area, 62% retracement to 79% retracement. And if we start to break above this level here and then a correction and then a break again, that would increase the probabilities to aim for even higher levels. And keep this in mind, if EURUSD breaks to these levels here, that means that the dollar will become weaker. So keep that in mind. And I think the dollar will become weaker. So that goes hand in hand with a bullish bias in EURUSD. But I just want to see confirmation before starting to aim for higher levels in this chart. This was basically it for this week's market outlook. And make sure to hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and be updated in the community about short-term trades, because these videos are only for bias purposes in overall outlook. See you inside the community. Bye.